Yo guys, welcome back to another Danmachi Memoria video. Okay, so it might be a little bit of a longer one today. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go over all of the new Christmas units, their stats, what they do, and then my opinion as to whether you guys should well, it's not my opinion as to whether you guys should summon overall. I'm not going to blank slate it. I'm going to give you my opinion on what I'm going to be doing for my best interest, and then I will probably give some scenarios as to if you fit into these categories, maybe you should opt to do X, Y, or Z. That's how I'm gonna do it. It stops me from generalizing too much and just saying, look, listen, don't summon or do summon, they're all good, summon and everything. No, your account, depending on how it looks, will require different things, and I'm a firm believer that you should summon for or skip depending on what your account needs. You do not need every single unit, because a lot of units get power crept and a lot of units just replace older units. So saying that, let's go over the units and then we'll give my opinion as we go through. Okay, so we're starting with the Soma. Now I won't lie, elemental units are pretty much a must-have. You don't necessarily need to MLB them, but so saying AoE and single target resist minus 15%, water damage and wind damage plus 15%. Now there are a lot, and I mean a lot, of water and wind units that you could use simultaneously. Now put it this way, if you had this Soma for Record Buster specifically, you would be able to run Water Reveria as well as the newer Wind Haruhime on the same team, because you would have we have this Soma and Yellow Chick Hestia. So we have the elemental buff, the elemental debuff, as well as the AoE and single target resistance debuff on the enemy. That frees up so much space for other adventurers and other assists. So I kind of, in this scenario, think that this Soma assist is really good. It is a bit sad that his only decent stat is Dex. Kind of sucks. But then saying that, I don't know who I'd put him on beyond a sack unit, maybe. So I probably will try and get one copy of him for my benefit, because my Record Buster team, my strongest current units for Record Buster are the Anniversary Reveria and the Wind Haruhime. So it stands to reason that my account needs this Soma. Now the Lefiya, on the other hand, is entirely wargame based. Now if you didn't know, I'm going to throw my biasness out there. I am not a wargame player. I get to Jester 3 or King 1 and then I'm just like, bah, no. I'm not playing no more. I don't like this game mode. But for those of you that do like it, and those of you simps out there that like to just throw ailment upon ailment upon ailment on people, yeah. I mean, to be fair, 45% sleep. Don't they wake up if you hit them? So sleep might not be as strong as you think it is. But endurance, agility, and dexterity minus 10% on top of that makes her an extremely good assist, even just to bring for the agility and dexterity and endurance debuff. The sleep on top of that is an added bonus. So if they're running an assist that has ailment resistance times 2, like the Seer, for example, you've just taken up at least one of their ailment resist, as well as reducing their endurance, agility, and dexterity in one go. This is such a great assist for wargame. I can see like how good it could potentially be in the right teams. And to make matters worse, she has a double S agility stat, so you can tell she's specifically designed for wargame anyway, because she won't work outside of wargame regardless. Like her outside of wargame, this Lefiya is useless. Don't. If you're not hardcore into wargame, it probably isn't the one for you. Now it gets a little bit more complicated, and I'm sorry, I know my fat head is blocking some of the text, but so we're going into Filvis. Now Filvis is definitely a wargame unit. We'll go over the passives first. So fire resistance plus 35%, counters are water elemental, guard damage minus 30%, crit and pen damage plus 10%, magic and agility plus 40%. crazy. I mean, I currently think with the light meta and the fast modifiers means agility is kind of not even an important factor anymore. Like, unless you're running the rush units, in which case a different meta takes over and you're running against Lied everywhere, like Lied, and he's so fast anyway. So it depends on the team that you're currently running as to whether agility is a serious factor for your war game attempts. Plant killer. Okay, so what we're gonna see here is probably the next familiar rush is gonna be plant based, which is cool. It's fine. So the SA AoE ultra water magic attack will ultra pen and temporary great strength boost. So it's gonna hit hard regardless. One turn, magic resist and water resist minus 50%. Now, given that she is simply a war game unit, I will say this. She does have a single target on her skill 3, high water magic attack with ultra crit and temp great strength boost. So she's gonna hit hard on single target, but there are no additional modifiers there, which is kind of meh. Skill 2, fast high water no, sorry, let's do skill 1 first. How about that, LD? Skill 1, self for 3 turns, magic agility and water damage plus 60%, foes, dex and endurance minus 30%, and gains 3 additional low water magic attacks. So buffing magic and water, I do like that. That is the sort of benchmark for a really decently hard hitting unit currently. It seems to be the way the game is shifting, especially with the recent units. I mean, boosting agility by 60% alone is bloody crazy. That's out. It's really out there. That's a seriously high agility buff. Lowering dexterity and endurance, I would prefer it if it lowered. Let's just make it this all war game. Like, forget dexterity, do agility and endurance minus 20% or 30% even. Like, that would be great. Gains 3 additional actions, and then skill 2, AoE, fast high water magic attack, ultra on guard, 3 turns, physical resist, magic resist, and water resist minus 30%. That for me is this skill alone makes her a good sack unit for any water team that doesn't have, for any account that doesn't have a specific water resistance and type resistance debuffer. Me personally, I have the physical resist and water resist debuffs. I just don't have. I'm struggling for a unit that has magic resist, water resist. So I may have to try and get 1 copy of her because that's what my account needs. But skill 3, we've been over that already. Overall, buffing her agility so crazily, and then debuffing on the second attack. So you would do skill 1, and then skill 2 would be her rotation. So you would set her to buff and then debuff. You would set her to buff, sorry, and then she would automatically use skill 2 afterwards. That's probably gonna be a decent setup, but I'm not sure if she outspeeds Lied. I mean, the fact that she has natural fire resistance already makes her great for the current agility based wargame meta, but I still think the light meta or the light teams that you're going to come across with fast modifiers still outdo this, or come undone against that. So it's a coin flip as to whether she's going to be useful or not. Now we're on the Ryu. Okay, this is where my biasness comes in. I'm going to tell you right now, her resistance doesn't matter, but counters increased by 35% based on every single target resistance debuff. That's big. Counters are going to hit extremely hard if they're done properly, if the coding works and there's no errors like there were with the Otar when he came out. But just based on that, her counters are going to hit really hard. So stats, that's an extremely high magic, extremely high, well, I won't say extremely high dex, but that's a decently high dex, decently high agility. Agility is not that big of a deal given that she is a record buster unit. All of her abilities are single target, so outside of record buster, she's only going to be good for single target 7th zone. But I'm a record buster player, so this is the one unit out of all of them that really interests me the most. SA, single target, ultra water magic attack, ultra on guard for 4 turns, AoE resist, single target resist minus 25%. That additional, that 25% resistance debuff, single target, if you can get that early on, especially in Record Buster, who is it that removes buffs and not debuffs? You can put that on early on, it's going to put your damage output through the roof. Skill 1, fast mid-water magic attack, ultra crit. My head's in the way, I know, sorry. Ultra crit, and for 4 turns, self magic and water damage plus 60%, and single target resistance minus 20%. Out there, super crazy. Like, that's such a great ability. There's so much, I mean, it's self-utility, but the 20% resistance debuff to single target, great team utility. That's amazing. In one ability, that's worth so much. Skill 2, single target, super water magic attack, ultra on guard. The ultra on guard rate, it really is a big deal, because you getting countered in Record Buster can potentially screw you up if you get countered too hard and if it crits a pen and things like that. 2 turns, strength and magic minus 45%. That, again, so much, like, it doesn't matter that she's fully single target. Those debuffs apply so much utility for the team. Minus 45%, yep, that's the standard we have currently. Great survivability for the rest of the team. And then we have skill 3, slow high magic attack, and for every single target resistance debuff, the enemy, on the enemy, skill damage plus 85%. Now, that's a lot. You have to understand that's 170% increase in damage. Like, if you have an assist and an adventurer resist single target resist debuff, the trade-off being that it reduces the debuff duration on the enemy by 1 turn. But if you reapply this, now like I said beforehand, if you have the elemental assists to run this Ryu, the Reveria, and Haruhime, you can potentially consistently and permanently have that single target debuff on there and constantly spam that skill 3 to do so much damage. So for me, I'm looking at, personally, excuse me, for my account, this unit, as well as the Soma, are like must-haves. So I need to actually get my hands on her and trying to MLB this Ryu as best as possible. But that's because my account and my preferred game mode is Record Buster. That's where the advice is coming from. But anything else outside of that, it's completely your choice. If she's waifu, man, you got to summon for waifu. But like, if you aren't trying to hit those Record Buster high scores or trying to smash out 7th zone, I know many people don't care about 7th zone, but very few do, then she's probably not the one for you. Anakitty is I love the artwork alone, that's just great. Passives are right there, we're not going to go over the passives, I'm going to go over the stats straight away. So relatively low agility based on the fact, like, even though she is a war game unit, but we'll get into that afterwards. So the SA is an AoE ultra wind physical attack, temporary great strength boost, ultra on guard, allies, removes all debuffs excluding assists. Now, chances of you getting an SA are pretty, I won't say low because it does happen, but you shouldn't rely on the SA solely as the game plan for your war game team unless you can make it happen. So her removing all debuffs is fantastic, but I don't see that as a major factor given that she will only SA maybe turn 3 or 4 depending on how your team's built. So for me, most of fights don't even get to turn 4, so it's only in the higher game modes that this is really going to be a deal breaker. Skill 1, allies slow for 3 turns, strength and wind damage 35%, removes all strength, magic and agility buffs on enemies, excluding assist skills. That in itself is slow, which means it guarantees it's going to go last, means she's going to remove all of your buffs no matter what. She's going to remove all your buffs no matter what and buff her allies for the next turn, which means turn 2, you are not going first. Again, that is such a huge counter for the current state of the agility teams in Wargame. Like, Lyde is just everywhere and he's so fast, but the fact that she is slow intentionally, get rid of those agility buffs and everything. You can't do nothing about the, I don't know if it won't remove additional actions, so he's still going to get off those additional attacks, but you're just ensuring that the enemy team is not going to go before you on turn 2. Skill 2, AoE, super wind, physical attack, ultra on guard, temporary strength boost, and for 2 turns physical resist and wind resist, and dex minus 40%, and the resistance is minus 30%. That's great, that's just standard, and there's a nice super modifier on there as well. So turn 2, that's the move she's going to go with. that means she's going to have that additional 35% or 70 if you accumulate the strength and wind. And she's going to really put out some more damage. So if you've got a full wind team, like if you're running the anniversary Ryu, you're going to lose a little bit of damage because she's lowering physical resistance, not magic, but the wind resistance debuff is still going to be helpful. And then finally, skill 3, single target, high wind physical attack, ultra crit for every self strength buff, skill damage plus 40%. So you're getting 80% additional damage for every self strength buff. So she probably will be helpful outside of Wargame, just only for mostly physical teams. In fact, I would say that out of the Wargame units, she's probably the most useful outside of Wargame. But I'll have to look at the other units before I confirm that. Additionally, I would think so far she's been the best unit to cover a wider of a range of possibilities. So she can be used in multiple game modes, not just Wargame. Her lower agility outside of Wargame makes no difference. Her low agility in Wargame kind of makes no difference, given that she's probably there specifically just to remove the buffs from the. But I'm looking up at my light for some damn reason for the camera. Moving on. So, Raul, passives are out there. We're not going to go over them. But the stats, he's got great agility. He's got great strength. He's 5 less than the anakitty. Sorry. SA, AoE, Ultra Wind, Physical Attack, Temporary, Great Strength Boost, Ultra Crits for 1 turn, Allies Wind Damage plus 100%. That for me, even though it's an AoE, is going to be fantastic for 7th zone especially, but probably extremely helpful in Record Buster as well. You know, like I said, in Wargame, don't rely on SAs to be the clutch or pinch hitter for your team unless you build around it and you can ensure that the game plan is that you get that SA. But this, outside of Wargame, is very useful if you can extend that buff. And if you don't have Ray, then yeah, he's basically he only buffs wind damage, so it's a good utility SA to have. I just don't see it being super helpful above others, but it is still helpful. It's like it's up there. It's just not the best wind based SA to help your team. Skill 1, AoE Super Wind, physical attack with temporary strength boost, Ultra Uncounter, gains 3 additional actions. No utility in there whatsoever, just Ultra Uncounter, super modifier, and gains actions. So damage upon damage, ensuring the enemies cannot counter and then gaining actions. Yeah, spamming that means you get endless amounts of actions. It's basically the same as what Kaguya does if you have ever run her. Skill 2, AoE Fast High Wind, physical attack, Ultra Uncounter, temporary strength boost, removes all AoE resistance and guard rate buffs from enemies. This is going to help counter those pesky stall teams, which I'm seeing less and less of, but still exist. Skill 3, single target, high wind, physical attack, ultra crit, and temp great strength boost. No additional modifier, but the ultra crit is really nice. Plus the great strength boost means he's going to still hit pretty well outside of there in single target, but I wouldn't recommend it. Like, the only thing that takes him outside of Wargame usefulness is the SA. That's about it. He's pretty much, they made him pretty bland, if you ask me. Now I'm just gonna speak about what units are on what banner. Now for me, this is a bit sucky because the assist that I need is on a different banner to the adventurer I need, and you always need to keep that in mind about how much Irish you have and how much you're willing to invest. So for me, I only need 1 copy of the Soma, so I will prioritize the Ryu banner over the Soma banner. However, if you require Wargame units, then you may want to prioritize. That is my phone ringing. I'm so sorry. If you're looking for Wargame units, this may be the better banner for you because it's got the Filvis, who helps counter Lied to some degree, as well as the anakitty, who I would say is a better all-around unit than any of the other units on the rest of the banners. So I think this is the lesser of the 2 banners, in my opinion. If you're looking for Record Buster or anything else. However, of course the Record Buster unit and the better war game assists are on the other banner. Now, this is the one I'm going to invest more in. I will be getting this Ryu because I kind of need her. I am on the train of thought that I want to get one Record Buster team that will basically work in all Record Busters no matter what. That's going to be difficult. It depends on how they put it out and like what the resistances they add, but I want to just get a team that I can score generally high regardless of what the element resistances are and things like that. So I need this Ryu. My team is going to consist of both wind and water. That's what I'm aiming for, so that's what I'm going for. However, I would say out of all banners, the Raul and the Lefiya are the, for me specifically, the more useless ones. So I have a 1 in 3 chance of getting a useful unit in this because I don't need the other 2, which means I'm intentionally investing in a banner that is not going to pay out much for me, which is terrible, but that's why they're set out the way they are, so that they know. If you want a war game adventurer, this is the banner for you. If you want the assist to go with it, you have to summon the other. It's a way to get more Iris out of you, and that's how they do it. That's how they get more money. So I am still going to summon. My final recommendations for you are look at what your account needs. If you need this Record Buster unit, then go for this Record Buster. They are time limited, which adds a little bit more value on them. Their stats are decent. They are up to date. I will say the Lefiya, for the most part, is a great wargame assist. Like I said, the debuffs there are pretty essential. The sleep ailment is just is a bonus. If you can get it, you get it. If not, don't worry. The Raul himself, I don't know. I think they didn't do him much justice with this unit. It seems very bland and very mild compared to the others. Not much thought put into processes. As for the other banner, let's go back and have a look at it real quick. This is probably the banner most people are going to be going for because a lot of people seem to prefer Wargame over Record Buster, and that's fine. Your preferred mode is your preferred mode. But I would say this is the better banner out of the 2. In terms of value for Iris, like no matter who you summon here, you're going to be getting a good unit. They're going to be useful. Whereas on the other banner, not so much. But saying that, it is all down to you at the end of the day. I ultimately do think people shouldn't skip these banners. I don't think you should invest heavily. I think you should actually just wait a little bit. You know, do your primary summons for whatever unit you want to focus on, and then wait and see what the next lot of banners have in store. Because otherwise, if you invest too heavily, and then the next lot of banners, you know, are much better than these ones, you're going to kick yourself in the teeth. Anyway, guys, that is going to be the video. Coming up in 22 minutes. Good God, I'm going to have to trim that down. I hope you enjoyed the video. So please like if you did, subscribe if you're not. Social media links will be in the description. And as always, guys, I love you, and I'll catch you later.